Lo, baby Jesus, Kathy Griffin has lost her ever-loving, God-given mind. But before we get into that, happy St. Patrick's Day. I have no idea what St. Patrick's Day is about. I have no idea the history of the holiday, but I will say this. Please be safe while you're out there drinking. Call a Uber, call a Lyft. I have no preference. This isn't an advertisement or anything like that. However, if Lyft wants to shoot me an email with a brand endorsement, as long as you pay your workers appropriately, I'm not going to not open the email. I'm just saying, but this is an endorsement of either of them. But be safe. Don't drink and drive. But, have a good time. Have a good time. And don't, please, for the love of God, don't offend anybody, please. I try not to take these type of holidays too seriously since, it's America, right? We basically just create a bunch of holidays for people to get drunk and buy things on. So, and this is one of those holidays for us for whatever reason. So I don't know what it's about, but be safe because even though the holiday I don't understand, I do understand what consequences are, and the consequences are real. So take that Uber home, take that Lyft home, and do not drink and drive. Public service announcement for the day. Now back to Kathy Griffin, this woman. So for those of you who don't know, because I didn't know either until like 2 years ago when she used Trump to insert herself into the political scene. Kathy Griffin apparently is a comedian. Now it's interesting to me because Kathy Griffin is a comedian by trade, but nothing she's ever said has ever been funny. Many of you may know her from being from taking the I guess it was a head that was sculpted out to look like Trump, and it had blood on it, and Kathy Griffin was holding it up. So then she lost a bunch of her endorsements, so she says, and she was getting denied jobs because of that picture, so she says. But I'm under the firm belief that Kathy Griffin had been being denied jobs, and what happened was, they were excited to see that she had did that with Trump's head, because then they were like, yes, now we don't have to keep making up excuses for why we won't hire her. And we won't have to break her heart by telling her she isn't funny. She has been funny for a long time. And we have no idea how you got a blue check mark. I don't know. Maybe my grandma knows who you are, but we don't know who you are. And that's the important thing. So Kathy Griffin would fall into the category of what's known as a limousine liberal. These liberals, these neoliberals, I should say, take several different forms, right? Sometimes they look like Kamala Harris as a politician. Sometimes they look like Kathy Griffin as an actor. Sometimes they look like Chelsea Clinton as a daughter of a politician. Sometimes they look like Obama. Sometimes the list goes on. But you know a limousine neoliberal when you spot one. Beto O'Rourke, another one. I don't consider Gillibrand a limousine liberal because I feel like she's actually conservative. She doesn't really fight for equity in any substantive way, or she barely even pretends when she finally does decide to fight for equity. So I don't but Hillary, she pretends like she's on the side of good very well recently. But she still relies on inequity in order for her message to actually take hold, because she's not going to actually do anything. So that's what I consider a limousine liberal. And so Kathy Griffin would definitely be in that category, which I think most of you all would agree. So you are familiar with the video of the Palestinian student, I believe she's Palestinian, and an activist who confronted Hillary Clinton, and then which she did later on. And I didn't put this in the original video that I did about the situation because I didn't see that. But she did, in fact, clarify exactly what she was talking about. And it turned out that in my video, I was correct. She was referring to the rhetoric of Ilhan Omar, or against Ilhan Omar, the dog pile that was sparked because of Chelsea Clinton. And the fact that Chelsea didn't do anything about it, but then even tried to further capitalize for attention because Trump jumped in, and then all of a sudden Chelsea cares about the rhetoric being used against Ilhan Omar. Because why? She's a Democrat, limousine liberals. That's the only time they want to speak up is when they're speaking up against, only time they want to speak up for you is when you're on the team or you're fighting against the perceived enemy, because that's what controlled opposition does. So I think that this woman, this Palestinian activist, this Muslim activist, speaking her mind, I feel like it was necessary for her. I felt like because I've been there. Like, I know what that anger feels like. I know what that frustration feels like. And in her mind, she's like, how dare you show up to this vigil after you used dog whistles and basically allowed the Democrats to pile on to Ilhan Omar. And then for Chelsea to say something like, I'm sorry you feel that way. That's not any type of empathy or sympathy for the situation or for the damage that your words, the reverberating effect of your words and your complicity in the rhetoric you let your colleagues use. Just like yesterday, she did the same thing. Her friends. So, I'm fast forward. But instead of Chelsea taking a step back and saying, you know what? This isn't about me right now. So what I'm going to do is listen. It doesn't matter if you think she's quote unquote to blame. We all know she's not directly to blame. She didn't put the gun in the guy's hand. No one's saying that. But like, there is a reason that for whatever reason, not only in the States, but apparently around the world now, right-wing extremist male Christians have this preconditioned belief that the others are the enemy. And it's because of some rhetoric that is explicit and it's some rhetoric that is implicit. And Chelsea has, quote unquote, to use her term, trafficked in that rhetoric. Now, this woman, for approaching Hillary in the way she did, was sent hate mail. One of the pieces of mail to her email said, "You done lost your mind coming up to a pregnant woman like you were going to attack her," which she wasn't. And her hands clearly did not look like she was going to attack her. I'm glad I wasn't there. You would have got slammed to the floor. Really? Now you are spewing hatred. It's funny because these are the exact same type of rhetoric. This is the exact same type of rhetoric that Trump supporters use, like when they're trying to defend nonsense from the right and specifically from Trump-esque people. So it's just interesting to me how that works out. But don't be surprised if this is some correct the record David bot trolls that have been sent after this woman because of her growing popularity and her being the one to call out Hillary Clinton and actually is getting, or not Hillary Clinton, excuse me, Chelsea Clinton, and is actually getting traction because what Chelsea did was wrong. And yet everything that Chelsea does that is wrong seemingly gets a pass from basically everybody because we just play her off as like she isn't important. But we've seen twice now that Chelsea's, I hate using this term for her, but her gravitas does carry. And people will jump to defend her. And people will jump to join in when she attacks people. So it's important to hold these people accountable. And I'm glad she did. Another piece of the hate mail said, for two young women that attend a very good school, you both acted ignorantly to Chelsea Clinton. How? Try not to be so stupid. Another one said, effing freak, you're insane and the reason I no longer support Bernie. You know what's so funny about that? As a brief aside, I'm almost 100% positive now that these are David Brock trolls. And that's funny because I was reading them yesterday, but because I was tired, I wasn't really that into it. I was just more irritated about the whole ordeal. But like reading them out loud like this, it's kind of put like there's certain patterns that David Brock trolls use. One of the primary ones are ad hominem attacks. They don't actually say, because it's like they use very general scripts and they just replace a couple of keywords. But they basically say the same things over and over again. Violent threats, things like, you're the reason I don't support X anymore. So there was a point where during the Hillary thing, same thing. Oh, you're the reason I don't support Bernie during 2016. Now it's being revived. You're the reason I don't support Bernie. Like, Did you see this? Now, granted, this activist probably did David Brock and the Clintonites a favor by posting those tweets, because think about this in the correct context. You're insane and the reason I no longer support Bernie? What? This woman does not have Bernie anywhere on her profile. Like, I'm sure she's retweeted something about him forever ago, maybe even the last week, but her profile doesn't say Bernie 2020. Her profile doesn't say let's support Bernie. Her profile doesn't say anything about Bernie, but yet this was used as an attack on Bernie, which is what makes me believe that the hate mail and a lot of the hate coming her way, if they aren't limousine liberals like Kathy Griffin, they are Brock trolls, if you will. Unfortunately, the Democratic Party did create an entire industry of troll farms. Now, Kathy Griffin responds to this young woman because Kathy Griffin doesn't have a job or anything else better to do, apparently. So instead, she would rather defend her little friends. So she said, "You think that this is bullying? Ha 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 ha. I speak from experience. You can't imagine, you effing pussy. Wake up. We are all on this planet together. Chelsea Clinton does not deserve your misdirected anger." But then again, should we really be that surprised that Kathy Griffin would pile on to a Muslim, totally ignoring everything she's talking about, referring to togetherness, in a very empty way. Like, she doesn't mean it sincerely. So, like I said, should we really be surprised? Considering you are the company you keep. And before she started hating Trump because Hillary lost to him, Trump stole her friend's spotlight. She used to be, you see the pictures right there. So, I ain't take the picture, but I'm not in it either. I'm just going to read my tweet. Once again, when you're reading something and you're planning for a show, like, it's weird because you're like, this is stupid. I'm going to do a show about this and it should be called out. But then when you go back and read it out loud and you're like, people are going to watch this and y'all going to have the same reaction I do when I read it out loud. It's like, what is she even talking about? We're all this. You just wake up and say, I speak from experience. You can't imagine, you effing pussy. Then say, but wake up. We're on this planet together. Peace. Ooh, excuse me. What? Oh man, she's crazy. So I then tweet out in response to Kathy Griffin, Kathy, you are legit out of your effing mind. Are you seriously attacking a college student and an activist who was telling Chelsea the truth about her and her complicity for those who behave like her, rather than telling Chelsea to listen and be better? Lose your Twitter. You're a psycho. Yeah, that's how I felt about it. You can definitely go check out the tweet. And I did a whole thread, and I don't want to cover the whole thread on here because I'm going to talk a little bit about it. But definitely go check out that tweet. My Twitter is listed in the description below. So let's go back to what Kathy Griffin said. What? Listen, limousine liberals do things like this. You think this is bullying? Huh? Do you think this is bullying? Like, you're insane. You're the reason I no longer support Bernie. I would have slammed you to the floor. You're ignorant. Try not to be so stupid. Okay, I'm confused. When someone literally threatens your life, what is that? Kathy, help me understand where you're coming from. Because I'm trying to, but I can't because it's just stupid. You're just, oh, Jesus. Kathy, look now. What's most interesting to me about this whole thing with Kathy, is that throughout this entire ordeal with the Muslims, the unfortunate terrorist attack that took place in New Zealand, the anger and angst, well deserved, that this activist feels. Even with Chelsea Clinton actually being involved in it. She took that entire situation, the entirety of it, and made it about herself. How? You think, I speak from experience, you can't imagine. Nobody asked you, Kathy. Nobody tagged you. Nobody added you. Nobody cares about your opinion. But you keep trying to interject yourself, probably due to some insecurity that you're projecting about the fact that no one cares about your opinion. Rick. Oh, baby Jesus. Okay, look. She isn't the only one, right? She isn't the only one. Andrew Cuomo said something as well, and I gotta pull it back up. I forgot that Andrew Cuomo said something, and it reminded me. I'm gonna tell you exactly what it reminded me of. Oh, not Cuomo. Ha! Just kidding. It was from de Blasio. He said, Chelsea Clinton has dedicated her life to standing up against hate and division. When? Since when? You know what? Chelsea has dedicated her life to standing up against hate and division as much as her mother did. Take that for, take that as you will, or for what it's worth, which is literally zero, but actually it's probably the negatives at this point. But anyway, de Blasio said that Chelsea Clinton has dedicated her life to standing up against hate and division, and she proved it with the dignity and compassion she showed in the face of irresponsible accusations that somehow stoked the tragedy. Somehow stoked the tragedy of in New Zealand. Oh, bruh. Okay. There's so much to discuss here. And I feel like we don't have enough time to do it all. But I'm trying, y'all. I really am. Okay. No, de Blasio. No. You got it. Really. First of all, that's your constituent. So you're going to take the side of politicians against the constituents. Okay. That's nice to know. Does this sound familiar to y'all? Where all the white limousine liberals all gang up on one Muslim woman who says the truth. Now, however, if you can debate whether or not that was the best environment for her to approach Chelsea in, that's debatable. But even Chelsea herself acknowledges, quote unquote, words matter. She says that. However, de Blasio is wrong. Yeah, she showed composure, but she wasn't compassionate at all. She literally said, I'm sorry that you feel that way. Not that she feels any type of way that she's, about the rhetoric that she's pushed and her complicity. And once again, her rhetoric and the rhetoric of people like her. It's sounding eerily familiar. This situation seems to resemble. That's right, Ilhan Omar. Once again, we are seeing a woman of color, a Muslim, who spoke out, who is speaking out against the Democratic establishment and their complicity, and basically using minorities when they feel like it, but then trashing us and smacking us down whenever they sense any type of insurgency from within the minority community. Whenever they see a minority using their experiences to shed light on how these limousine liberals have perpetuated many of the problems that we suffer from today, and you can't, and the fact that we shouldn't only be looking at the Republican Party, but both parties. Instead of acknowledging what she said, what do? Because she, once again, didn't even mention what was said. Why? Because then you'll discuss what was said by Chelsea Clinton. Why? Why wouldn't they want that? Because if you discuss what was said by Chelsea Clinton, then you have to address it again. Then you have to relitigate. Well, was that a dog whistle? I don't know. Co-sign as an American. We were speaking about in two, a refugee, a Somali refugee, a Muslim refugee, ganging up on her in a way that we've only seen you gang up on other Muslims, but also ganging up on her in a very unique way that we've only seen you do to her. Because of the microphone that she has, and because y'all like to make examples out of people of color who fight against you. Don't take my word for it. Ask what they did to Nina Turner when she wouldn't play ball with them anymore. Ask Nina. I remember Nina in an interview with the Real News said that she was getting hate texts from Democrats because she refused to join the establishment. Because she said the words that our revolution will endorse the most progressive candidate, regardless of party. This is what they do to people of color who refuse to back down to the neoliberal establishment. This is what they do. Meghan McCain's no better. Like, isn't it the same thing? Meghan McCain, Kathy Griffin, Chelsea Clinton, all of them, they make the situation about themselves. They then go on to conduct ad hominem attacks against their opponent, their adversary. They play the victim. And all of a sudden, the person of color is always demonized. And they want us to pretend that somehow the Democratic establishment is better than the Republicans? Nah, homie. We see you. You may not be one. Of course, you're not 100% to blame. But Chelsea, once again, you see them participating in this rhetoric. What have you done about it? Matter of fact, while we're live right now, I'm doing this morning. Clearly, I talked about St. Patrick's Day. So we're going to see what Chelsea has responded with. Oh, by the way, then she has the nerve to go on and retweet Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez about the Muslim ban. Oh, we have a Muslim ban. We have to remember. And it's true. That Muslim ban is problematic and it did demonize Muslims. And he knew it had its intended effect. Trump knew what he was doing. He even tried to later use the excuse that there were terrorists coming from Chad in Africa, and that's why they put them on the Muslim ban. And he still put it under the Muslim, like he still labeled it the Muslim ban. And it had nothing to do with that. But he knew that if he put Chad on there for terrorism from Muslims, then people wouldn't question the real reason why he put Chad on the Muslim ban, which is a whole different episode. Okay. Yeah. 2 days worth of searches. Chelsea Clinton hasn't done a damn thing to silence the people bullying her, to silence the people attacking her, to silence people like Kathy Griffin, to stand in solidarity and say, I understand where she was coming from, even if it was misguided. I'm hearing her words, I'm internalizing them, and I'm going to try and be better because that's what an ally does. Nothing from Chelsea Clinton. What a surprise. What a surprise. But then again, are we really surprised though? I don't think so. Let me know what your thoughts are. Leave a comment below. Make sure you like the video. And remember, more than anything else, find your balance. Peace. Thank you for watching that segment of Mi Casa es Su Casa. Help us reach our goal of 500 patrons. You can do so by donating as little as $1 by clicking on the Patreon link in the description below. Don't forget, join us on Roku and JustNForm. You can follow us on Twitter and Facebook as well. And remember, more than anything else, find your balance. Peace.